Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of Agile Cool Kids Podcast. We are Agile enthusiasts from all over Europe. I have all of the Agile Cool Kids together today. We have Agnieszka, who is our people expert, then Francesca, Maria, and Don, who are our Agile coaches, and me as an Insights Discovery licensed practitioner, stick out like a sore thumb. But let's get on with the episodes. Today, we will talk about the role of the HR when it comes to Agile world and what the role should be. So hello, everybody.
Hello, Blash.
Hello.
Hello, Blash.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blas.
And everyone?
Yeah. So why did we even decide on this topic? I think Maria has something to say about it. So
Yeah, well, I was wondering lately, what is really the role of HR or people, as it is called now in some companies, when it is the moment of changing the mindset of a company to become agile or to improve just the culture. So usually HR has played a role that it has been like very administrative at the beginning. Today, I think this role has changed. They are doing more things. They are more involved in people retention, talent retention, but still, all this effort, at least this is my perception, is not creating the proper impact. So what's happening here? That's the question, no?
yeah.
So, question, what's happening in HR for the Agile world?
Exactly. And what HR should be, or should we even call it HR?
Yeah, I can say, for example, something that I was wondering lately. So there are some HR or people, they are working lately more in the intrinsic motivations of the people, purpose, autonomy, mastery, this kind of things. But still, they define values, they define a purpose that sounds meaningful. But somehow this is not creating the right impact, or at least this is my perception in my experience. So I was wondering, what are we measuring somehow to know, or what should we measure in order to understand if these initiatives are creating the right impact, and how can we balance the tension between these measurements and other measurements that sometimes used to look like more important for the company, like sales, users, revenues. So what happened with this tension and how this impact the work of the people function? And I hand over to whoever wants to say something.
I can share what I've seen in the past few years, and this is not specific to HR or the people department, but other departments as well. So when it's outside of the IT, which is the traditional place for Agile people, right now is still IT. When you go outside of the IT department, what is measured is something that is a lagging indicator, so a KPI or something that is coming from the past. So they are not measuring, they're not thinking in outcomes. Okay, they are not thinking of we want to get to that future that we want to that is better than today, and to do that we need to do this and that, all the outputs, right? They are not measuring it like this. Not measuring, they're not thinking like this, but they are thinking as we need to do this and that. And when you ask them, why are you doing it, what do you want to get, they don't know. they've been told that they need to do this kind of things. And when they are done, it's a check. Okay, done. All right. So is that supposed to change something? Probably, because if you do something that you didn't do before, it's going to change something, but no one is checking, no one is thinking of what they want to achieve and why. So why they are doing whatever they are doing, and how to measure the difference between today and the future that they are somehow creating. That is my interpretation of what I've seen so far. And of course, it's a generalization. Not everybody's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we come back to a problem, output versus outcome.
Yes.
Again, even probably when hiring, when doing some surveys, getting measurements, that we have the output, but we don't really know what the outcomes. Would that be correct?
Yeah. What I've seen, yes, at least.
Yeah, and I can recognize that, Francesca. Yeah, it seems like HR is really has that model of the machine, and they are feeding people into the machine and making them part of the machine. They call them resources. They hire them. They put them into roles. They tell them, and that's about it. There's not, there's not really any. I don't see much care there. There's not much interest in people. It's just, can you do this job? Because that's what we need. And then they only really react to like legislation. Oh, we've got to, this is a new rule by the government, so we've got to have this survey. Okay, that's why we're doing it. But there's never something coming around asking people or departments, how's it going in this place? What do you need? So I just moved into a place where, the sort of office rules are taking over. So things like you're not allowed to put your jacket on the back of the chair. The temperature of the building is monitored by one person. Things like that. Clean desk policy and all these things. It's there for a reason, but not for the people's reason, not for the employees' reason, right? And that's it just brings that environment of you're just a cog in the machine and just do your job, and this is right. It's very almost dehumanizing. So, and we can see where that's come from. Right, that's come from the old management style or the traditional management style of, sausage machine, make it go faster, with replaceable parts. But in this new world, in this new agile world, in this new 21st century way of working, that's everything else was moving on. So how does HR move on?
Maybe already with the name, right, Aga? No longer.
Yeah, I'm making some notes because and kind of holding myself back, because when I start talking, that might not have an end anytime soon.
Well, I'm queuing you up, I hope.
I was thinking to, like, for me, all those topics go back to the origin. What is the HR or people department, people and culture? So a little bit historical overview, there was no HR whatsoever. It was accounting when it started in the Industrial Revolution, that you needed people to pay for hours. Before, you were your own shoemaker and you didn't pay per hours. And with the accounting, when it started with those units, so that's the very origin. And so for so many years, accounting was responsible for people. It means people were the number of hours they were giving the factory. And in exchange, they get some monetary or whatsoever value. And this mindset, or not even mindset, this setup for the changing name HR and now people and culture, it's still there. It's still in the mindset being accounting, either with the added role of law, following law and labor law rules, but it's still the same like the Industrial Revolution, when we had a little bit more of whatsoever security. After a while, it was not allowed to extend 14 hours per day work, blah, blah, blah. That was the very beginning of law. And this is still the mindset. And if you see people doing not only the job, but being in charge of whatever the name is, HR department, people and culture, most of those in one of the surveys I read, like 60, 70 and more % are either lawyers or with the economical background. What do you expect them? Like, of course, with all my tribute to those people, but how reasonable is it to expect them having a people mindset if they are trained, drilled to see numbers? So yeah, of course, many of them, they are doing a great job and they do their best, but it's kind of, if they are drilled, all the education and all their career, they are drilled in numbers, doing accounting, doing legal stuff, how to follow the rules. And then they get head of whatsoever, you name it. And then they should have a mental switch after 30, 40 years doing the job from a completely different perspective. It's possible, of course, but how realistic it is, the probability, you can answer yourself how low it is. And of course, you give the kid a new name, you call it people and culture, but how often does it change the content and the way how this field is being done? In the most cases, nope, it's just a fancy name to get probably better people to accept or being interesting in the JD, in the job description. That's it. And even I see, Maria, you name it, and just a very common approach, like HR, they define value. I got really like allergic reaction to the phrase already. I did so many projects on company values, and I'm preparing to do it in my current company as well. It's so wrong. They defined whatsoever. It's a bottom-up approach. I will start with talking to people in whatever qualitative, quantitative way, like, yeah, doing some surveys and doing panel talks, going just observing, like shadowing people, what is important in their daily life, and then getting like 360 from people, from my like my company's customers, up to like bottom up to the C-level. I will have 360 pod, how they, it means how we, everyone in the company, in a sense of representatives, not every single person in bigger companies is possible, what they see, what are the values of the company, and not HR create values. It's just like, not using swear words for the YouTube recording, but it's so wrong. It's people creating the values, and then of course you need to sit down with C-level and think where we are going to go, what we see in the future, and how much those values will bring us there, and then either remote some values or add some, let's say, ownership. If you see there is really lacking in the company, you establish some adding value as this is the point where we are, where we want to get. So it's not only what we say and that's it, it's just a solid starting base, but then added with the future perspective, where we want to be as a company, and adding those values. That was the short version.
No, quite interesting. No, I was going to say that as you were talking, Aga, I was thinking it's true, and many companies even, I think they do that. No, they try to take like a bottom-up approach when it is the time to define the values. Okay. And I have seen even good initiatives. They look good, no, in terms of providing stories about the values so that people can understand, or celebrating some behaviors, or this kind of thing. I would like to ask you, so this is like learning new things for the people, maybe, but there are to change the culture somehow. You need to unlearn there are other things that need to be unlearned. What could be possible initiatives to help the people to unlearn? Because somehow my feeling is like unlearning things sometimes can be harder than learning new things, because well, nice values and celebrating nice things looks like easy, and it is impactful, no? Create happiness, create a commitment and engagement. I am not saying that this is not valuable, but yeah, what happened with the things that we need somehow to unlearn in order to live really these values?
Yeah. And I think that's where maybe the Agile world crosses, because in the Agile world we talk about transformations and a change of culture. We're trying to do that for quite often IT teams or other parts of it. So, but it's HR that is maybe uniquely focused on, or could be uniquely focused on, the culture of the company. So I think it's great that in recent years we've seen companies adopt people as the name of that department, because that's what we need. We need to be focused on our people in this 21st century, focusing on how do we work together as people, as teams, and scale teams in organizations. It's that culture that is important. Okay, so I saw something earlier this week. I was looking at Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast, and I saw this really great video. I think it's on YouTube. I'll try and get it again, where he was explaining that, yeah, that's true. Everyone agrees with that. Everyone knows Culture Eats Strategy, right? Everyone agrees. But organizations often have strategy workshops and strategy meetings and strategy away days. But if we know Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast, where's the culture workshops? Where's the culture away days? When do we spend talking about a cultural plan, right? And I think, well, I would say that HR might be in that unique place to be able to hold that cultural plan directed by the senior management of the company. Where do we want to go? But can be acting on that. And that's where I think that's why I see where companies could like to get to. That's what Google do, right? I'm going to name drop Laszlo Bock from Google, who was head of people at Google. He's moved on now, but he was a famous person there that introduced a lot of the things that we are using today. I think if HR can make that change, then that's bringing much more value to an organization, and it's looking after that cultural aspect. So I see that as the North Star where we want to get to. How we get there, I don't know that yet.
For me, what I've been listening to is that maybe we have an undercover problem, because HR is not really involved in day-to-day work, which means that if people department is accounting plus law, then all the people functions are taken up by the team lead, the manager, the middle manager. And if you are rewarded for or promoted for being the best salesman, and you are promoted into sales manager, then you might not have the skills of a leader. You might not have skills that a people department person might need. And that's why we seem to have the same problem all the time. The rewarded behaviors are the best performers, while HR keeps sticking to accounting and law. And maybe we would need the people department to be more implemented in day-to-day work, not really being a separate department, but a part of the team. Would that even be possible?
Or at least with like objectives.
There are, for some years already, trials in that direction, establishing business partners, exactly that types of role. But at the end of the day, it's just resources, which is the money question. If you have resources, equal money for doing the administrative job and the part like legal job. How can you do on top the people and culture part? You just do not have the resources, and it's so hard. The part is you can measure sales, you can measure so many things, but it's so much harder. Yeah, there are ways to do it, but it's so hard to measure what it means, people and culture, and what it means, successful initiatives. And then when you have a discussion with the C-level, and they are just like, I wouldn't say like old school, because they are drilled in numbers, and your numbers are shaky, you will not get resources. It means you will not get a budget. That's it. Discussion end. Don, I see you wanted to say.
Yeah, but imagine if they did have objectives, or it could measure culture and people. And I would think the place to start would be things like health checks and happiness indexes, or even just how many people are leaving your organization. And at the moment, I think companies are, well, if we leave people, we just need to HR's response to, or people are leaving. Okay, either we increase salaries or we just hire more people, and we just keep it going. I don't see any sort of remedial asking about, 17 people have left this month. Let's ask why. Whereas, and I think if they did have a target to say, okay, you must keep retention below 10% or some figure like that, then okay, how do we do that? It's happiness index, going out and asking people, how can we make it better for you to be in this company? That would be a start, maybe. Have you seen that?
But with all these measurements, it's so tricky down for so many reasons. A very easy example from the retention and TA perspective. Let's say you get KPI.
Sorry, what's TA? What's TA?
Talent acquisition. So
Thanks.
Recruiting, the old name,
Right.
let's say. You get a target to get down retention in a certain way, and then you have no power, you have no way to, even if you find out what the most probably reasons are. Let's say super simple salary. If your company is paying drastically, I don't know, 20-30% below the market salary, how HR can make a change, not being able to pay higher salary, nor give whatsoever benefits, flexible working time, home office, whatsoever. If your offer, it's not market relevant, how can you reach your KPIs? That's only a simple example. The same for recruitment process. If you're running after manager and they schedule the appointment and interviews with potential new joiners, like with candidates, let's say in 2-3 weeks, and the process is going for 3 months, you have such a drop off of candidates. And yeah, you can even, mop the managers per emails, per Slack, and I don't know, even call them. But it's so costly in terms of resources. And why that should be your KPI, where you are not able to own the process, own in the sense that you have a real impact, what the results will be.
But that's a different, I think perhaps that's a different subject, in that once you measure and are looking to, increase to that number, then you can have those conversations, right? Then it's transparent. Then it's, obviously objectives have been given by senior management for a reason. And then if the reason comes back, well, actually, looking at the market, we're just not paying enough. That's the reason. If you want retention higher, 10% more, 20%, right? Is that right?
Don, I can give you a whole list. What answers you get back? Try other sources. Try.
Right. But that's what we're saying is that's a different question. I think what we're talking about now is, what do you think, Francesca? Is that empowerment maybe of HR?
Yes, I think it's empowerment. It's about having that mindset that it's not HR or people and culture as a department to take care of those issues that come up. Make it transparent, make it available, make the information visible to throughout the company, and ask for help as a true cross-functional team, right? As
Yeah.
if the whole organization were one big cross-functional team. And yes, HR as a function has an issue, realize that this is the measurement, and yeah, we have an issue. So all of you are the brilliant people in the company. How can we come together and find a solution for that? It's not necessarily, oh, it's because it's salary, then it's an HR problem. Well, no, it's an organization problem.
Yes. Yes.
But
That's
in the practice,
Can I say something?
Yeah, go where, yeah.
No, yeah, it's a minute. I wanted to build on top of something that Blas said that resonated a lot with me. Usually the people and culture department, they have a few people, really, and they take care of big numbers of humans that are working here and there. I like the idea of Blas, like, okay, maybe in everything should be a people person, or at least there should be more people. So sorry, taking care of the people. And something also that you said, Blas, is like, okay, how can we ensure that the managers, that they are really, for example, living these values? No, they should be leading by example.
Yeah.
And there is another thing that we were talking about, that is like people retention. Why people retention is considered a valuable thing? For me, it doesn't mean nothing. For me, I don't know, for example, if you have a team and this team is working with autonomy, so they are happy, how this is impacting in the company somehow? Are our customers happier? Are our services better? What is happening? But people retention, you can be in a company 10 years. They are like a vegetable and without any happiness and producing nothing. So, and today,
Well,
the mindset job, let me finish just this.
yeah.
Has changed. So there are many people that they don't aspire to be working in the same company forever. It's like, well, I will work here as much as I can bring value here. And once I consider I cannot continue here, that maybe there are other skills that are needed now, I go to another place, and this is perfectly fine.
Sure, Maria, but how do you know that that's happening if you're not measuring it? How do you know that people are going, well, this has been great, but I just grown out of this, so I'm going to move on now, and it's been brilliant, but thank you. Or I really hate this place, I'm going to leave right now. I've never come back. Right? How do you know unless you're taking care of the people and measuring it?
I think you need to work very hard in creating a really safe environment for the people to speak up.
Well, that's right. Yeah. It could be, like you say, if it's kind of place where actually everyone's satisfied, then great. Yeah, great. Then there's nothing issue there. It's more an issue of how can we find more of those beginning people and grow them? And do we change our business accordingly? But unless you know that, then you're typically retention or people leaving is very costly and risky for knowledge acquisition, right? And your competitors are learning all you're doing. So yeah.
But Don, isn't it about maybe not completely stop measuring the percentage or the number of people leaving? Because yes, of course, so this is a KPI that might be needed, but more importantly is the reason why the people are leaving or people are staying. What are the reasons why you are staying? What can we do more of that? Because this seems to work. You've been here for 10 years and you're still here. So let's do more of that. And if we figure out that all 5 of us are staying because of the same reasons, well, there's a high chance that we can find 5 more people that are staying for the same reason, right? So more numbers, like, 5. Oh, cool. 5. Is it good or bad? I don't know. You know, whatever.
In a company of 500, maybe not, but yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that what what we are currently measuring in organizations is completely wrong. It's just that we miss a lot. We
Yes.
just miss a lot of information here that would be super, super valuable to make some changes, so to make decisions to change something or to do more of the good stuff that we're doing. That's all.
Yes. Yes.
Are we perhaps just lazy with the measurements? Because when we are talking about sales, we say we have to get our hands dirty. And when we are talking about people departments, nobody really wants to talk to people. And I would say if you could book a 15-minute spot with somebody from people department, and if they would be doing that just 6 hours per day, that would be 24 people per day, 120 people per week. And if you have 5 people in people department doing that, doing just 6 hours a day, that would be 600 people per week who could have a 15-minute slot where they could talk to you about their problems, their issues going on with the team, maybe with somebody else, where you could even schedule, a meeting one-on-one with 2 people who are having issues. So should we really get our hands dirty and start talking to people?
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things is about when that department has been rebranded people, it's like, yeah, there's suddenly a realization, oh yeah, we actually have to talk to people, yeah.
Yeah, it's easier just to get another form, another survey, because interactions are hard, processes are a little bit easier, probably.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. And Blaž, I have to say that I connect that to the generic customer feedback. It could be an internal customer, like employees for the HR employees that hiring managers are their direct customers, right? Or potential employees, so candidates outside. But this feedback, this asking questions, what worked well, what didn't work well, how did you feel during the entire process, how do you feel as employee, what can we improve, blah blah blah. These things are not done enough, and it's not just about sending out a survey. Yeah, people lie in a survey every time.
Yes.
And they have many reasons to lie. So it's not just about the survey, it's about having that conversation, not really asking a form to take care of collecting that feedback.
Okay, you might have done the Spotify health check with some of your people, yeah. And I find that it's an interesting tool that in the beginning it's like a little survey, but then it quickly moves into a discussion about why are these things red and why are these things green and what can we do? Yeah. Imagine if HR was doing that, and at different levels, they'd get so much information. Interesting. Yeah.
For me, it's really brutally back to how to prove and get the buy-in from numbers people. How to get the resources for all these initiatives. I started a pilot program with Kona, the mental health app. It's amazing. So I got from literally every of those people 10 of 10 they wanted. And there is no cash for that. And not because the company doesn't want to pay. It's just this phase in the company when we need to really for the investors to show certain numbers. And this is not what investors in the market want to see on the part as expenses. That's it. So it's for me so hard in terms of money, like resources.
Yeah, this tension that I was commenting at the beginning, no? At the end, it's like the business in front of.
And Blaž, I was listening like 6 hours, and internally I was like, where should I get this people being paid for those 6 hours? Sure, I can have 5 more. Who is gonna to pay it? As again for the market as well, not only internally for the market, for investors. Whatever people related is an expense. It's not an investment. That's the market reality.
And that's why I disagree with you. I think that is
amazing.
Yeah. It's always when you hire people, it's not a cost. Always it's an investment. right? You're investing in your company by having people look after the other people who are already in the company so that they do a better job and they stay longer and they are more inspired and are more innovation is happening. And, that's an investment. Surely. What do you think?
Not for you are preaching to the past. I don't know if you can say it in English, but it's definitely a Polish saying. So I am not the one I need to be convinced. And still, if you have on a payroll a salesperson, this person is bringing money into the company. And this is easily, can be easily measured. And the way people are bringing money in the company, we should like to show this in the same simple and easy. And
so it's a question of measurement.
And a question of priority. You have people's department doing other things. And I would say it's probably something like dating. If you have, let's say, 10 hobbies and you can never meet the person you are dating, it's not the matter of time, it's a matter of priority. And
you cannot take not care of the legal part. You cannot not take care of the salary part. So sorry, the priority of taking care of people is always behind and always lower than the operation of the HR department. Sorry,
it's less tangible. I was going to say something that I was thinking. I think, for example, in the companies where they have agile coaches or scrum masters, they could be maybe the natural partners of the people and culture department. Somehow this is suggesting me that maybe this is a good department to belong if you are an agile coach or an...
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I collaborate a lot with people in the HR department, because where I work, it's called HR. It's not people of culture. So I collaborate a lot with these people, and they are, of course, amazing people. They want to work with people and not just taking care of reports and numbers. However, this is what has been asked. So they need to provide their reports to the leadership, and the leaders want to see that. So that's what they need to do. And then you get, I'm not saying that it's all the time, but you get all sorts of watermelon reports, right? So that are very green from the outside, and then you crack them open and they're very red inside. Yeah, sometimes that's the way it is, because of course the report needs to be green. It has to be green. It cannot be red. So yeah, it's about tweaking here, faking the number there, or showing that, yeah, it's not exactly green today, but it's going to be tomorrow. But you want to report it today, right?
Yeah, that's right. And
Maria, then I put the date of tomorrow there, and then the numbers are green.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Maria what you said there about agile coaches. That's what makes the role for me so interesting, is that we are in part cultural engineers or cultural guides, but really the home of that should be in people and culture, should be, right? And I think coaches naturally gravitate to go and help there or go and be part of that. We're also part of governance as well, which is a governing of the behaviors and the mindset. So I think there's definitely a place there. And just the last thing I'm going to say is, did you know that there is a lot of agile resources out there for HR people? There's a website there called Agile HR that's got lots of information already. There are already books out there. So there's a whole community there that I've only just scratched the surface on. So maybe we should read more.
Thank you, Don.
Final thoughts, people. I kind of have already a few of keywords for myself. So who would like to start wrapping up?
Well, that was mine. So yeah.
I just wanted to say that the HR, or the whole people culture and everything that is related to internal employees, so that department has been somehow left on the side in the whole agile world, and it's finally a good time, and it has been for some time, but it's good that we are talking about it, and it's good that people think about the agile mindset for HR.
Mhm. My way to deal with never enough resources for whatever I want to do is, it's kind of working pretty well actually, is to making people and culture department, making as many people in the company belonging to my department. It means I do not limit myself to the people I do not have directly in my department. I am just starting where I see the biggest leverage, educating and developing people, and then they are people and culture in the company, not belonging to the department. It can be a head of sales, it can be venture builder, it can be a CFO, it can be people from the storage room. So making them part of my department is my trick, how to do a bottom up, not getting resources and making the change.
Exactly, that's a lovely way to put it. Just because I think all the people departments have to trickle up and trickle down all over the layers of the company. Because if you just think, if you do not want, trash on the street, it's not beneficial just to hire more trash men to pick it up, but it's better to educate other people not to throw trash away. So basically education to the, let's say, leadership level, middle management level, and even to every employee. Because if you have a coworker who you can talk to for 15 minutes per day and have a nice interaction, it can do more than some, let's say, average people department.
Exactly. So seeing everyone as my resource is my way to go with that topic.
Maria, I think we have you.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for it has been very insightful. My takeaway maybe is maybe this thing that that really this partnership between agile coaches or representatives, let's say, and HR as a way to bring a new culture to the company. I am not just talking about agile. It's like new ways, better ways to do the things. That at the end of the day is agile also, but well, I mean, doesn't need necessarily that you want to become a business that you want to bring business agility to your company.
Lovely.
Yeah. So thank you today for all of you for participating. It was a lovely chat and hope to see you again soon.
And the links to the resources will be posted below the recording. It's really encouraging you to have a look. They are really amazing. Thank you so much.
If you have any comments, and tell us about your experiences with Agile and HR.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to listen from you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bye.
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 Thanks for
Thank
listening.
you.